You are listening to the Primetime Podcast with your hosts, Bryant Chisel and Jake Jorgensen. Hello, everybody. Welcome in to Week 11's Rewind. Primetime Rewind. Going to check out Week 11 here. We got Week 12 previews on the docket. I'm here with Jake, and this week our special guest, I believe this is the first time all year, Cade. Welcome into the show.
Indeed it is. Happy to be here.
Kind of funny because you're, third place? You're 8-3, 8 wins, and we haven't gotten you on yet.
Yeah, man. I feel like I used to be a mainstay too. I feel like I've been on this like multiple times every time.
Yeah. I think we tried to get you last week, or was it? I don't remember if it was you or Nick.
It was recently, but
Okay.
I couldn't do it. So glad to be here.
Very good.
Yeah, welcome. It is tougher to kind of grab the guy that's got like 2 wins late in the season. So luckily, your team's doing really well this year. They don't want to be on at that point.
Are going to get Preston on?
No.
Thankfully, we got Manthai on. We got him on week 6 when he got his. That might have been his first win or second win. Thankfully.
I was say, what was he then? 1-5, 2-4.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, week 6. I'm not sure, but I can tell you in like 3 seconds. That was his first win. Yeah, he was 1-5, or I guess technically 1-4 because week 6 is week 5. Right. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, hopefully Lemons gets a win this year, rest of the season, because he hasn't been on yet either.
He hasn't. I thought he was on earlier.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. I think everybody else has been on. We've had Nick, Brandon, Preston, obviously us, George, Greg, then Lane, Cade. Yeah, everybody else has been on now.
Yeah. I think he's waiting until he doesn't have to think about who to start.
He's waiting until he plays you.
He's waiting until one gets hurt.
He's waiting until he plays you in week 13.
Yeah.
That'll be legendary. He plays me this week, and in all honesty, we'll get into this later, but he might beat me. All right. Let's get into the rewinds. Jake, we're starting with you. Holy man. Brock Bowers, huh? Look at that. 34 points. What a stud.
He is a stud. Yeah. This was tough. I went into this game. What was the projection? Yeah, it was 106 to 122. I knew there was a chance, but no, this wasn't close at all at any point. And Brock Bowers, you're right. That was, Mark Andrews. I've been now a couple weeks in a row. I've been starting the wrong tight end now. So I traded for Andrews, and he was playing really well the first couple weeks. And now every single week I've been picking the wrong tight end for the most part. So that's tough, but
Jake.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, baby.
He used AB against me. Yeah. Well, across the board, we did see the Montgomery versus Gibbs matchup live up to what we expected.
Yeah, both those guys were awesome. I mean, it's kind of been like this all year, where Montgomery's been really, really good, and then Gibbs has been also really good, but not quite as good most of the weeks.
I started the right quarterback out of my 3 quarterback options that I had this week, which has been tough. But and Jordan Love did have a bad pick, but for the most part, played pretty solid against the Bears. You're definitely like top 10 defense. So
yep. Oh yeah, they're pretty good defense.
That's a highlight.
Are we going to talk
Cade's
about?
Cade's on, so he's going to call out Jameson Williams. I have to call it out.
I was just about to ask you if we were going to talk about the elephant in the room.
That was depressing. I've been starting him usually as much as I can. Cedric Tillman's actually been pretty good recently, so I didn't feel bad. It's not like if I started somebody that would have been projected like 8 points or something like that, and I didn't feel good about it, that would have been a huge L, but this already kind of was. And I didn't think that they were going to need to score against Jacksonville at all. They didn't need to score against Jacksonville, but they did anyway.
Yeah, they just kept scoring, and they kept scoring. I mean, honestly, so people were kind of mad about that. I don't know. Did you guys see some people were like, what are they doing running up the score?
I didn't really hear anything about that game. Nobody
Yeah.
really wanted to talk
I don't
about
know.
it.
I heard some people being a little angry about that, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
I love it.
I love it too.
I love it.
Professional.
If you're better than them, then show it.
Facts.
Like,
That's what
don't
I'm saying.
stop.
I mean, if it's like, high school sports or something, like, yeah, you can ease off the brakes a little bit. But I mean, they had backups in the fourth quarter, man. Like, what do you want them to do? Backups are gonna play. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm here
Maybe the
for it. I agree.
Jags fans might have been fine with it if they want their coach fired too. So, but yeah, even Greg's kicker and defense had to pop off against me, which is another just insult to injury. Just L. That's all I got.
Very good. On Greg's side of the ball, honestly, so I was looking at his team earlier, and I couldn't really tell where he got his 175 points from because everybody was just kind of fine, and he had a couple of real stinkers. And then I looked at Brock Bowers. I'm like, there it is. And Chris Boswell, I guess. Getting 24 points from your kicker always helps.
Yeah, they only scored field goals and beat the Ravens.
Yeah, was he 6 for 6?
I guess so.
350 plus yarders. Damn, good for them. Everybody else, I mean, Aaron Jones kind of stunk. I don't know. He doesn't really look fully healthy, in my opinion. Drake London was fine. I mean, he didn't get his touchdown. These stat lines aren't that different from what he's been doing all year. He's just been getting touchdowns with them for the most part. So, I don't know. I mean, you're not worried about him. He's on bye and he'll bounce back. Everybody else, I mean, it's not like he had a ton of options on his bench. So, wow, Greg, you're an idiot. You started the Minnesota defense instead of Denver Broncos defense. Well, that's a whole point you missed out on there, buddy. Fraud. That's about it. I don't know what to say. It's matchup dead.
The only other thing I had was at least CeeDee Lamb did something.
True.
Like I wasn't sure what to expect.
That's actually a good point.
This week.
Yeah, that's a
Because
really
like
good
part
point.
of me could have. I wasn't in a position to not start CD, even though there was question marks. So at least he got his targets.
So I don't know if I mentioned it to you at all, but I tried to talk my sister out of starting CeeDee Lamb in her league. She's in like an 8-team league with her boyfriend and some people in his family. And I was like, if I can bench CeeDee Lamb, I would. And in an 8-team league, right, your bench is loaded.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she had some bye weeks and stuff, so she couldn't really do it. So she stuck with CD and won. And I'm like, yeah, that's big because you look great. I mean, 8 catches. He had a run. I think he had double-digit targets. Yeah, 12 targets. Like, heck yeah, man. That's the kind of usage you want to see. If he can get that usage, I mean, obviously Houston's pass defense isn't the best in the league, but the Cowboys aren't going to put up points, so he's going to need to be a PPR machine. If he can get double-digit targets, I wouldn't be that worried going forward. Because if 6 for 21 is his floor, then he'll be okay. I mean, win some, you lose some. Because, I don't know, did Dak officially get put on IR? Wait, no. I thought I
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. He should be out for the year.
Yeah. So, anywho. Jake, you stink, dude.
I do. Couldn't even hit the 100 points this week. I have to take a look back, but I know last week I didn't hit it.
I don't know if you've hit 100 points.
I haven't scored 100 since week 8.
Yeah.
Since week 8.
You know what? Thankfully, week 9 I hit it. Oh, yeah, I hit it a couple weeks. All right, very good. Week 9 for me. We stink, dude. We're horrible.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to George and Lemons now. Talking about stink. I mean, Joe Burrow was good. The fact that Joe Burrow almost put up 40 points and Lemons had 88. I mean, the tank's in full motion here. Dontavian Wicks, fantastic start when you're tanking. Raheem Mostert, -0.2. Yeah. I mean, this is just a bad roster, but it's an intentionally bad roster. And this is the proper way to tank. You start a legit roster of players that are playing football, and you win some, you lose some. Although, in my opinion, if I'm trying to tank, I'm starting Patrick Mahomes.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Like I can't even say he's tanking if he's starting.
But Lemons was starting Mahomes all year long when I don't think he was trying to tank. So I think Lemons just doesn't understand that Patrick Mahomes is a bad fantasy quarterback. Joe Burrow's been like a top 3 quarterback in the past month. Right? 3 weeks in a row, 35 plus.
I've been top 1.
He could be number 1 in the past 3 weeks for sure. He probably is. Shoot, maybe even the past 4 weeks. You throw that stinker in there, he still might be 1.
He's number 2 on the season for fantasy.
Holy man. Yeah, that's big. Lamar's 1, I assume. Lamar's 1.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't really need to. He beat his projection, though, so kudos. That's big. On Georgia's side of the ball, speaking of Lamar, pretty bad game from him. I don't know. They couldn't get anything going against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense is elite. Wow, they're awesome. Georgia's guy, Antonio Brown, that he's been trying to trade for like the entire week up before the deadline. Dunk. Justified right there for George. Shout out Cade. Oh, man. Justin Jefferson was fine. Brees Hall was a stud. Yeah, go Jets. Lost to the Colts. Fired Joe Douglas today.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, the head coach, and the GM now. Good for him. Kyron, bad. You're welcome, George. Honestly, he had 86 rush yards. It's not like it's a bad day of rushing. He just didn't get a touchdown or any catches. But you win some, you lose some. I don't know. He's going to get fewer targets now that Puka and Cooper Kupp are back, especially when Puka's catching so many balls. It's kind of crazy. Juwan Jennings, Dallas Goedert, both fine. Dicker the kicker, Lane's guy, 12 points, pretty solid. T. Higgins on the bench, 35. That's a tough one for George. You know, T. Higgins versus Juwan Jennings is going to be a weekly struggle. You're not benching Brown or Jefferson, so I kind of respect
T. Higgins
Juwan
versus
Jennings.
himself is a weekly struggle.
That's a good point, too. If T. Higgins plays, though, he's been really good this year.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, he's on bye this week, so
I'm
George
a I'm a T. Higgins owner, so I have like a bias against. I've got a bias against him right now. But yeah, good week
Look at
last
those
week.
targets, man.
13 targets.
That's what you dream of.
And you know for a fact that he's played 6 games this year, and he's probably made it through fully healthy maybe half those games.
Yeah, he's cooking.
Like, he is what? 5 games with 7+ targets. All games with 6+. Like,
hell yeah, that first one's coming back from injury, right? Getting going, and then coming back from injury this week. Boom, right before the bye week. Now he's on bye. Hopefully, Juwan Jennings isn't on bye. I don't remember when the Niners have theirs. All right, he's good. Oh, that's right. We play them next week. Tough game. Yeah, Juwan Jennings is a good play too, though. Ever since Ayuk left town, he's been pretty solid. By left town, I mean, I guess, injured. But same shit, I guess. All right. I guess the only other thing is DK Metcalf on Lemon's bench had a good week. So Lemon's bench isn't. Yeah, it could be worse. It got a little healthier, right? Tyreek Hill's back. DK's back. Brian Robinson's doing all right.
It could be my bench.
Yeah. Could be Jake's bench. Granted, that's a starting lineup on his bench, so.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, take that as you will. Oh, shit. All right, I think the next one up is Laner. Laner and Preston. Now, Lane actually DM'd me on Discord like 10 minutes ago. He wanted me to make sure that the people knew that, what did he say? He said, don't forget that I performed as well as Johnny Sins this week. Easy. So that is a reference to his total. Very,
nice.
Very nice. Added that button on the fly after he messaged me.
Nice.
Yeah, 169. Very nice, Lane. And honestly, Jared Goff and Amon-Ra is a cheat code. If show me a team that had both those guys and lost this week, 'cause that'd be ridiculous. I mean, 80, 90 points between the two of them. Bonkers. Jared Goff, 4 tuds. Amon-Ra going crazy, 2 tuds. Josh Downs had a good week. Derrick Henry had a touchdown. Didn't really do much other than that. James Cook had a good week, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, everybody on Lane's team popped off. The fact that, for me, seeing Lane's team not outscoring Greg's team kind of blows my mind, because Greg had so many stinkers, but I guess Greg's team just popped off harder on those few guys. It's honestly, it's all in the kicker defense. That's what it is. throw a 24-point. You throw Chris Boswell into Lane's lineup, and now we're talking, baby. Wow.
I think we're surprised he didn't start Njoku, but that's about it.
That's fair. I mean,
He's
he's a Jags guy, so I guess I'll allow it. But going forward, it's Njoku over Ingram unless Njoku's not playing for whatever reason. Because without T-Law, what is it, Mac Jones there now? With Mac Jones, Ingram's going to get targets and he's going to get catches, but he might end up with 28 yards on 5 catches. That's just it's enough to get you by. But when you have Njoku on your team, I mean, shit. Come on, man. I get it this week. You know, you got to see what you got. But, yeah, going well in next week. Ingram's on bye, too. Wow, there's a lot of bye weeks this week. Feels crazy. Yeah. Everybody else on Lane's bench was pretty disappointing other than Jordan Addison, but you're probably not starting him ever this year. I don't know. Has he ever really been good? A couple weeks. Can't really predict it, though.
He got a touchdown against us, but that was his first week back, I want to say, or second.
Yeah,
like that.
It
Did a
was
good week against us. That was it.
It was his first week back. Yeah, and then week 9 against the Colts, he had a touchdown. If he has a touchdown, you're happy, which, you know, you can say that about a lot of guys. I don't know. I mean, he had Debo on his bench, which is a bit interesting, but at the same time, it's the right move because Debo's been stinking it up. And he has Devonta Smith as flex. He's got a flex problem. I don't know who you throw in there, in all honesty. Couldn't tell you. That's a tough call. Maybe it is Debo. Probably matchup based. On Preston's side of the ball, CJ Stroud in the starting lineup is a freaking crime, dude. Stop playing him. They won 34-10. He had less than 10 points. Joe Mixon season, by the way. That's why. At least he had Joe Mixon too. But I don't know. I don't know if the Texans' offense is high-powered enough to really justify having Mixon and Stroud in your lineup at the same time. You're never benching Mixon, so I don't know. I mean, it was a good week for them, but Dallas' defense stinks. Stafford's been playing better. He had 38 points on the bench, baby. He's back with Puka and Cup. Both those guys are playing. He's good to go. Tough matchup next week, though. I don't know. Manthai's dead, so who cares?
The biggest thing to remember is we're dead.
Nick Chubb, by the way, not really worth holding. He kept Nick Chubb in like the 9th round.
I was going to say it makes you think about without Manthai's team. Well, they had high expectations this year, but he didn't really. He sent Terry. He sent Terry to UK, I believe, but he didn't really send anyone else. I thought he was going to deal somebody before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
we talked about that in the chat.
I heard that what he was asking for was quite a bit, and honestly, I think the fact that he was kind of AWOL for a while really hurt him. I think if he would have been more active earlier, he could have gotten better value for his players and gotten what he wanted. But by the time he jumped into the conversation, a lot of guys were, I mean, Cade, you were pretty much done trading. Brandon was pretty much done trading. And those are the two guys that were really going after it. George didn't want to give up too much. Unless it was for Christian McCaffrey.
He gave up too much for Tyrant, but that's something I'll get to later.
Baby!
I obviously went all in last season, and Mixon was one of the guys that I acquired. This wasn't even like he would have been. He cost a lot more this year, but
yeah,
I couldn't justify trading when my team's not hitting 100 points. Like I couldn't justify trading away top picks
at
that point. Unfortunately,
like, you can go in and you can secure your spot in the playoffs, but are you really going to win a championship if you're not even breaking 100 points consistently? When there's teams like Greg who have like back-to-back 175 plus weeks. I mean, Cade's team is nasty. Brandon's team has been on a tear. Not a great week this week, but up till this week, it was, 158, 220, 175. You know, it's like, geez, come on, man. So,
yep.
I get it.
And you talked about Detroit running up the score earlier. As you can see, this is what happens with the Goff getting 50 points and helping out with the potential Goff MVP campaign with the Lions.
I loved
Lane's
message in the group chat during that. It's got to be so tough for him to have Goff and Amon-Ra just absolutely blow up, and it's against his team. Like, imagine if it was against Packers. You're like, wow, this is horrible. I mean, eventually it gets to the point where you just don't care anymore because you know you're going to lose. But for the Jags, like, I mean, the most you can hope for is that it just gets Doug Peterson fired. But the problem is, are you really going to fire Doug Peterson for losing to the best team in football? I don't know. Maybe you can for losing by like 40-something points.
50.
Yeah. To the best team in football. But still, it's like, what'd you expect? You didn't have T-Law. Your team generally stinks, and the Lions have been cooking.
I don't know what the locker room.
Yeah.
What the post game talk would be after losing 52-6.
Who do the Jags have next? They're on a bye next week. It'd be a good time to play your head coach if you got a bye week. Got
2
a week
weeks
to
thinking
settle
about
in.
it. Thinking about that loss is tough.
I mean, what? You've got
That's
Houston next, probably another loss. You got Tennessee next. I mean, quote unquote good game. It'll be a competitive game, I guess. Jets, who knows? Raiders, Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, so you have Houston as another loss. So if Doug Peterson gets fired there, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you waiting? But I don't know. The Jags could win a couple games out of those last 4 if they're lucky.
Yeah, I think you got to fire him now or not fire him.
I agree.
Because I mean, you can fire him in the or obviously in the off season, but like, look at the past Houston. Every single one of those games is winnable.
Yeah. Oh, like, winnable. Yes.
If he wins out, like if he wins 4 games in a row to end the season, are they really going to fire him? No. So I mean, you make the decision now. You stick with him or you fire him.
Or they're waiting for him to lose all those winnable games, and then they just can him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of the problem he is, though.
I agree.
Suck.
The Jaguars roster is just not that great. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been playing the best, and I mean they've had wide receiver injuries all year. I mean they're not even playing with Trevor Lawrence. Their defense is horrible. Yeah, I mean, what are you really asking them to do?
They're such a bad team.
Yeah, I mean Doug Peterson will probably get fired anyways, but still, I don't disagree.
They should trade ETN too and just start from scratch.
Yeah, he's been in prison there.
Yeah, it's bad. It's ugly.
All right, 17 points for your matchup. Oh, we're going to mine first. Great. My team is horrible. Jaden Daniels had a bad week. Washington just had a bad week. Philly's a tough matchup. Push Shakir. Let's go Shakira, baby. 15 points. Vamos. Romeo Dobbs stinks. Everybody else, running backs were okay. Fergie got concussed. I had a chance on Monday night. I was down by 20 points or something like that. I had Fergie going, and Fergie got concussed in I don't know, first quarter I think it was. I'm like, well, we're dead. So I got to enjoy my night because I didn't care anymore. Freaking Audric Estime, man. I hate Sean Payton. You know that? I had Javonte Williams. I don't want to say Jameson. I had Javonte in my lineup at 11:50, and I swapped it because Sean Payton's hyping up Audric Estime all week long. He's like, "Oh, Audric Estime is gonna be the guy. He's gonna get a lot more work, all that shit." And then I don't know, Denver just won, and not Jamal. God damn it. All the Jay Williams.
There's a lot of Williams.
There's a lot of Jay Williams. Javonte, touchdown, 59 yards, 4 catches. Yeah, I mean, just got more work, man. Kind of stinks. Although, if I would have started Javonte, I would have been a lot more disappointed in the Fergie injury. Because 20 points from Fergie's a tall ask. I don't know if he's done that all year. Oh, yeah, he hasn't. So, but if I play Javonte over Estime, then it becomes I need what? 10 points, if that, maybe less. But yeah, that's very doable. So that concussion would have been a lot more hurtful. Speaking of hurtful, Jalen Hurts also hurt Brandon at his down week. Garrett Wilson had a down week. Cortland Sutton was fine. Achane had a good week. Achane and Kupp are pretty much the only 2 players on Brandon's starting roster that had good weeks. Tyler Bass missed an extra point, so he only had 3. Jerry Jeudy dropped a big 31 on Brandon's bench. He was everywhere, man. I kept seeing him and thinking it was going to be Cedric Tillman. I was like, oh, Coach Jake. Yeah, good stuff there, man. That was good stuff. Christian Watson had a hell of a game. Crazy catches from him. Houston's defense on Brandon's bench had a good week, so Brandon's bench was pretty solid this week. But But thankfully for him, he played me, so it didn't really matter. It would have made it actually really interesting if I would have won this game. I would have been 5-7. Brandon would have been, or sorry, I would have been 5-6, and Brandon would have been 5-6. That would have been funny. So, yeah, I don't know.
Did he pick up the Texans defense to not start him?
Let's see. He had the Texans
Just looking at that
defense
one.
on Wednesday. Yes, I guess so.
It's interesting.
He cut LA this week. Yeah, he did. I mean, yeah. LA versus New England. I don't know. For me, LA versus New England and Houston versus Dallas, both away. Kind of a horse apiece before you look at the final score. Both those offenses are pretty anemic. At least Dallas has the upside that they could be good. Granted, maybe they don't with Dak, but I don't know. New England freaking stinks, man.
Drake May season, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is Drake May season. New England, yeah.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah, Drake May does look good, but New England looks bad.
He doesn't have. Yeah, Caleb Williams was put in the best possible situation. Drake May was put in the worst possible situation.
And Drake May looks better. I agree. Caleb Williams has shown flashes, and he looks like he can be a talented quarterback, but that Bears roster is horrible. Caleb Williams makes really dumb decisions and just messes up sometimes, which happens. And yeah, the Bears offensive line is Swiss cheese. Kind of hilarious. I love it.
He did look very different without Shane Waldron, though. I will say that he was kind of carving us up a little bit there. It scared me.
I think the play calls were a little better for him. A lot of it was short yardage, quick passes, trying to avoid getting sacks and hide the fact that he is like the least accurate quarterback beyond 15 yards in NFL history. I think he was like 403rd out of 403 or something like that on completion percentage beyond 15 yards. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you remember back to the game, there were not very many plays that were thrown past like 10 yards. Most of it was behind the line of scrimmage or quick passes, and DJ Moore was doing some work. Yeah, so there you go. Last one, matchup of the week, Cade versus Nick.
It wasn't a close week for anybody, was it?
Yeah, I mean, this was a 17-point win. That was about it, right? Did this come down to Monday at all? It doesn't look like it.
It did, but
yeah, Fairbairn.
I was down, I think, 3 points and had Fairbairn and Nico.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the win was in hand, but.
Yep, feeling pretty good then.
Still didn't see it through. Yeah.
I saw Nico and Tank Dell had basically the exact same stat line. They did receiving. I think one of them had a rush, but yeah, they both had 7 targets, 4 catches, 54 yards. Thought that was kind of funny. Tank Dell must have had a carry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just happy to see Nico. I wasn't expecting him to put up 25 like I got accustomed to. I was just happy to see him back out there getting targets. He looked fine. He played a ton of snaps. So I mean, I'm happy he was out there.
Yeah, that is big because you'll need him for the playoffs for sure. And if he can get back in his groove, I mean, he was a stud before the injury, so hopefully he can kind of shake off that rust.
Wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he was. He was a monster, and Brandon traded him to you too. I was like, damn.
Man,
him and Kenneth Walker, wasn't it?
Him, Ken Walker in 3rd round. Him, Ken Walker, 3rd round. Earlier in the year, I got JSN from him. I've done a lot of movement this year.
Yeah, you have. You have.
It's put me in a good spot though.
Yeah, I mean 8-3, baby. Josh Allen had a good game. I feel like the past couple weeks haven't been great for Josh Allen. Okay, just last week. That must have left the taste in my mouth.
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't like. I don't think there's been maybe there's been a few, but like for the majority of this year, like his performances haven't been that pretty.
Yeah,
like they haven't been amazing, and he'll go off for like a 40-yard run and get like a little QB sneak, and then all of a sudden he's at 31 points, and you're like, what? He's at 15 to start the 4th quarter.
It is kind of the life of Josh Allen. He's only had a couple games over 30 this year, which is pretty uncharacteristic of him. We're kind of used to seeing him have big blow-up games. And I think a lot of that has to do with Stephon Diggs leaving town and him not having as much to throw to. He doesn't have that go-to guy anymore. I mean, he'll get his rushing yards for the most part, and he seems to get it done. But I do know the life of a Josh Allen owner can end up being 9 points at halftime and then ends up with like 28.
Yeah. Thing is, like, and this is part of the reason why I had to get kind of active at the deadline. Like, there really hasn't been that rapport between him and Cooper yet. Like, Cooper hasn't stayed on the field.
Yeah.
Finally, this week he gets on the field and it's not there yet.
No,
It's not
not.
there yet, and I don't know if it will be there for this year. I mean, maybe in the playoffs. That's all that matters. If they get connected before the playoffs, I don't know if it's going to happen before our playoffs. That's why I needed to go out and get somebody.
Yep. No, that makes sense. I mean, having Mike Evans presumably back next week will be huge for your team.
I think Mike Evans is going to be my best receiver the rest of the year.
It's very possible.
Like, he's going to hog the targets on that team.
Yeah, Baker's got to cook, man. He's got to continue to cook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, I wanted to talk about this. So
Tucker Crafts.
Obviously, I was talking with you, Brian, about trades. I sent I might have sent 2 trades to Mike, but I knew that he just wasn't going to respond because he probably hasn't looked at the Yahoo app in 4 weeks. And I sent trades to Preston. That's why I was trying to get some heat on him in the chat to see if he'd reply, and then he'd look at my messages. But Brian hit me up about AJ Brown, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You don't have AJ Brown." And then kind of connected the dots. I tried to hijack that trade that he made with George to get Kyren because I didn't want George's team to get better until I found out the terms, and I was like, wow, this guy's giving up a ton. So yeah, George can have him. Honestly, I don't even know. I mean, obviously, Kyren would have slotted in at the flex, but
yeah, but then you wouldn't have flexed JSN unless you would have.
No.
Yeah, you probably would have started Cooper. I don't know. TBD.
Now that Nakua and Cup are both back, like, that's a pass first offense. I don't know if we're going to see Kyren put up 25 again. He might not put up 25 again.
Yeah, he's going to need the touchdowns. He's going to need him to get stopped within the 5, right? Because that's the only. And honestly, Blake Corum's been getting a little bit more work. Not that he's a workhorse or anything. It's maybe 6 touches in a game or something. But it kind of seems like they don't mind using him in the red zone a little bit, and that would be big time concerning. Because he's not going to get the passing work, it seems. And he's totally fine on the ground. I mean, they don't need to.
Kyren's great. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
But, like, first round, for what he gave up, what he was going to give up for him. I want to talk about the fact that he was going to give up the first rounder and AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Like, Brian, you'd be number one. You'd probably be back for this year because your running backs are still decent without Kyren.
I'd be so stiff, but also I would have traded AJ Brown immediately after that for a first round pick.
Well, yeah.
I had 2 guys tell me
I did want to hijack that. I did want to hijack that just because I didn't want George's team to get better. But honestly, I don't know how much better it got. I don't know if Kyren is going to be that great the rest of the year if Cup and Nakua stay healthy.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, I'm probably more afraid of George than anybody else right now. So, but and then Terry. I decided to go out and get Terry, but I guess we'll probably talk about that when we go to transactions.
I suppose Tucker Kraft could have felt really bad if he would have lost this game, but I mean, you're never really starting Taysom Hill unless you have to.
I will be now.
Yeah, are you going to be?
I'm gonna give him.
Well, he's on bye, so I guess you're gonna do it against the Rams. But
yeah, the thing is for me, like, I'm more or less. I was talking to Brandon about this. Like, when I was trying to get Christian McCaffrey too, and just couldn't work it out with Nick. When that fell through, I was like frantically trying to make trades for a tight end because I was like, if I'm not going to have a reliable flex, I'm like, I need a reliable tight end. As much as I love Kraft, like, I love watching Tucker Kraft play football.
Yeah,
he's such a touchdown or bust guy.
He is.
Like, I can't,
which is true for a lot of tight ends. Yep, he is.
Which is fine for me now. I was just saying that, like, if I didn't have that tight end, then I need a flex that I know is going to be fine every week. DJ Moore wasn't that guy for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think I did make a little bit of a knee jerk reaction because JSN could be that guy. To be completely honest, him out
He
of the
could be.
slot has been amazing.
I'm surprised that he
Um,
did it with Metcalf back because I know Metcalf was gone those, what was it, 2 weeks, 8 and 9, I think it was.
yeah,
And he looked great, but it's like, okay, Metcalf's gone. Prove it when Metcalf's back because previous to Metcalf's injury, he wasn't really doing much. Now this week,
yeah,
11 targets again, 10 for 110. It's like shit. He probably slides
yeah.
in for Cooper
So
for you.
he might slide in to one of my keeper slots next year,
Yeah,
considering he's a 9th rounder. But
that's
we'll see how
possible.
he goes the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if
But
Tyler Lockett, what happens to him in the offseason too, because that'll matter.
yeah,
I don't know if he'll stick
yeah.
around or
And
not.
when you look at their offense, it might be nice to keep Tyler Lockett around because that offense is really good. Actually,
Yeah, it
they
can
just
be.
I don't think that team has fully been able to figure it out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think I did make a little bit of a knee jerk reaction trading for Terry, but I don't mind what I gave up, and I'm definitely in a better spot than I was. So
Yeah,
we'll get to
Terry's a
that
good
though.
player. It never hurts to have depth this point in the season, so you never know.
Yeah,
Someone pops a knee or something. Not like you had a ton of guys on your bench who could confidently slide in there, so it's nice to have at least one.
right.
And next team, Anthony Richardson, baby. Victory lap. Outscored Mahomes this week. Hold on. Patrick Mahomes. Here we go. Oh, yeah, outscored Mahomes this week. Holy, by like 8 points, 7 points. What a stud. I'll take the victory lap when I can get it, baby. And he led the team to a win. He's starting again next week. BTJ is back. George Pickens continues his dominance with Russell Wilson. Chris Brown continuing to cook. Caffrey, played okay. I mean, the Niners lost. Caffrey had 15 points. Not the end of the world. He'll be fine. Tony Pollard had a bad week, but you kind of knew it was coming with Minnesota. Their defense is pretty solid. Their run defense, especially. Not very easy to run on those guys. But Houston next week, also another tough matchup. So, I guess Neighbors comes back and he probably flexes BTJ or something. But yeah, you can get that done, no problem. This is actually a really tough L for Nick because this puts him in a really tight spot if he has any hope of making the playoffs. Not that he probably cares too much about it, but at the same time,
it's over.
It's not officially over, I don't think.
I think it's over.
Well, yeah, you would say that, Jake. You would say that because you need it to be over. You know what? We're gonna get into that. Matchups.
I'm more worried about you overtaking my spot than Nick. I'll say that.
I mean, yeah, I do have one more win, so I am a whole win closer. So.
I think it's over.
At least with me, though, you have an opportunity to outscore me still, even if we do tie. All right, let's get into this, huh? We have 4 8-3 teams: Greg, George, Cade, and Lane. About 100 and some change points spread between the group. Points for. It's pretty settled, all things considered. The only real movement that could happen is Cade, you and Lane could flip-flop. You guys are pretty close together. But Greg's pretty high up there. George has a pretty decent breathing room between. Obviously, there's still a lot of football to be played yet. I think we got 3 weeks left. So, 50
I played George this week too.
So that's a big game. That's a big boy game for the standings because top 2 get that bye week, baby. So, yeah, that'll matter. Currently, the 2 playoff teams outside of the top 4 are going to be Brandon and Jake, both at 6 and 5, not 65. Brandon's points for proves that he belongs a lot more than Jake's does. You needed 6 more points on the season, man, because that would look a lot nicer if you had 1,300.
Yeah, it's true.
Teams contending, myself and Nick. Manthai and Lemons are officially eliminated. So, realistically, I'm not catching Brandon. I don't think anybody's catching Brandon. His team is pretty darn good. I expect him to get more wins this year. Jake, your team, on the other hand, has been struggling to score 100 points, like we talked about. Granted, so is mine, and so is Nick's. So, I mean, it is what it is there. But if Nick has to win out to pass either you or Brandon, but most likely you. And that would require you to lose out. Whereas in my situation, I need to pick 2 up on you, so I have 1 more to give, assuming you lose out. But I don't know. I don't think we play each other this week. Yeah, we don't play each other the rest of the year. I play Lemons and Manthai yet, which are very winnable games. I play Cade in there too. I can chalk that up as an L. A realistic L. You never know with fantasy football, but my team stinks. So if we can get a win against Lemons and Manthai, nope, wrong team. Play also Lemons. So you have to beat Lemons.
I feel like I have to win one more game.
Potentially. Because if you lose 1 and I lose 1, or sorry, if you lose 2 and I lose 1, well, then I only pick 1 game up on you. So, yeah, I mean, if I beat Cade, then yeah, you have to win another game. But I don't know. I mean, Brandon's going to be a tough win and Cade's going to be a tough win. So, you better beat Lemons, because if you don't beat Lemons, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, season's on the line.
Yeah. But first things first, you got Brandon this week. That's pretty much it for playoff drama. It's kind of a clear-cut year. We have a handful of really good teams, and then we have a few teams that had a chance, but most of them kind of sold off some pieces, figuring even if they made it, they probably wouldn't win. Some business decisions were made. So Jake's definitely in the driver's seat. I give him like a 75% chance, at least, maybe 80. But I don't know, maybe like 15 to me and 5 for Brinkman, and call it good there. So let's get on to the transactions quick. Let's see. So there were some trades last time we discussed. We would be talking right around here. So before the matchups, Dawson Knox got picked up. He was okay. Cade, you picked up Chris Godwin for $1. Is that just a potential keeper? I mean, he's not expected back this year, right?
Yeah, well, he
He's
might be back
drafted
in the
some.
playoffs if
Okay.
they make it. But yeah, I think maybe thinking about the future, if he ends up signing to be somebody's wide receiver 1, keeping him in the 7th round could be a good value pick. I had an IR slot open, so
Yeah, and
I
depending
didn't
on
know
the
if somebody
team.
else was kind of looking at his history. So I wanted to see. I just wanted to see. I want to see how things played out, but I wanted to have him as an option because
Yeah, that's not
7th round
bad.
is good value for him.
It's great value for him, even if he stays in Tampa. I mean, he was good this year when he was playing. Right, he was putting up fantasy points, man.
I think he was like wide receiver 5, and
Yeah,
Nico
he was
was wide
awesome.
receiver 1.
So, yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't go to a team with no quarterback, he should be okay.
Those
Goes
Green Bay
anywhere.
Packers. We'll take
Oof,
them there.
that'd be something. You'd be Kansas City Chiefs, baby. Fire
No,
him
please.
up. Yeah, we'll see when Rice gets back, I guess.
He'll be back next year, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he'll be
kinda in the
back next
Godwin
year. I just
role.
don't know if it'll be immediately. Yeah, no, you got a point, though. That's definitely a similar role. At least that's Godwin's preferred role. I know Tampa played him outside for a little while, and he didn't quite do the same this past couple years. But
He's so
anywho,
good in the slot, though.
oh, he's so good in the slot. I agree. Yep. There was one trade between Preston and Cade. Preston picked up a 4th rounder for Terry and a 17. I thought that was pretty fair value. I kind of liked the deal for you, Cade. I'm not gonna lie. Terry, he's had a couple rough, I guess just one rough week, but he's been awesome on the rest of the season. So, and Philly
He's just
is locked down.
yeah. I mean, he did have a tough week. I don't even think he got a target in the first half. I was tracking it because I made that trade before Sunday, obviously, because trade deadline was Saturday. But yeah, I was tracking it just to see what happens. I mean, he's on a pretty good track to probably. I mean, you'd think he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more games this year. Like he's probably gonna get close to 100 receptions. I mean, he's the clear-cut top target on that team.
Oh yeah, big time.
I mean, we'll see how things go. Like, is he definitely going to be that slot or that? I almost said slot for me every week. Is he definitely going to be that flex for me every week? I think it kind of depends on what happens with JSN.
That's true.
I mean, I made that trade for DJ Moore a few weeks ago, but I can't trust him. I can't trust Cooper. I don't know if I can trust JSN yet. I needed that third guy. And once that deal fell through with Nick Reed to potentially get McCaffrey, I pivoted here. I think considering that my fourth round is pretty much a fifth round, I think it's good value for me. I think Preston should be happy because he has good capital. He told me that he wasn't planning on keeping Terry, so I mean,
which is kind of wild because Terry's a 6th round pick, man. Like,
well, yeah, no, I probably want to keep Terry.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, Terry's a great keeper. I know Preston has a lot of guys on his team, but I'm sure a lot of those guys were kept already that he'd want to keep again. Terry's great value.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got to be a top 12 wide receiver this year.
Probably, yeah, I think so. But yeah, honestly, I don't think I would have made this move if I didn't get Brandon's third round in that Bijan trade we made earlier this season. Because I've been dishing out some draft capital. So yeah, no, I'm happy though. I don't feel totally set back for next year. I feel like I have some really good opportunity for some value keepers. So yeah, no, I'm happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's wide receiver 8, and JSN's wide receiver 9.
Wow, that's insane.
That is insane for his start, especially. Yeah, something there. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good deal. I don't know. Honestly, I'm surprised Preston didn't try selling some other guys based on his roster. I mean, he's got guys that are very interesting. I mean, obviously you want to keep some guys, right? So who did he all keep?
I wanted Josh Jacobs from him over Terry first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And asking price was a little too high, so I pivoted to Terry, but I think he's going to keep Jacobs. I bet you he keeps Jacobs and Nakua. I know he wants to keep Nakua. He told me.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense. Nakua in the first is a bit tough, especially for where he's going to be picking. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, he'll probably. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather keep Mixon in the fourth is pretty good, but I'd rather keep Terry. I think. I don't know. It depends on what they do.
Mixon in the fourth.
I think Preston's not going to think about the rounds. I think he's just going to pick Puka, Mixon, and Taylor. He's not going to think about the rounds. Yeah.
You don't think he'll keep Jacobs over Taylor?
I think he's going to think 2 running backs, 1 receiver over.
That could be.
Something like that.
I'd keep Terry over Puka, though. Not that he can anymore, but that would have been my choice because he's going to have like the second pick of the draft, so he potentially could draft Puka.
But yes, Preston should have traded Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's not going to keep Jacobs, I agree. Because
I made him a good offer too, if I recall. I might have offered him a second.
Oh yeah, that's a great offer.
And, he didn't want. He told me he told me he wanted to keep Jacobs.
All right. Oh, if he wants to keep Jacobs,
he wanted Jacobs for this year or to actually keep him.
I'm gonna guess he cuts JT.
I would too.
Which I get, because you'd be keeping him in the first, and he's not gonna be a first round pick next year. Granted, if you're keeping Puka,
so he drafted JT. He didn't keep him.
Yeah, he drafted JT in the first overall. He kept Ayuk, Chubb, and Laporta.
Yeah.
Tough keepers.
Yeah,
really
Laporta
tough
was supposed to be such a good keeper. Laporta was supposed to be. I feel so bad because I have Laporta and Stroud in Dynasty League.
He kept him in the 14th round, and it probably still wasn't worth it.
Yeah, Cade, I was so high in Preston's team because I was high on like all of these guys. Everyone, and then they have on
Preston's team.
Yeah.
Preston's team is really good. On
his running backs are awesome, and Puka's awesome. I mean, all he has to do is not start CJ Stroud, and his team is good.
I don't know why he still starts him.
I mean, it's not like Matt Stafford's a world beater or something, but shit, man.
Well, yeah, but his and I mean, this isn't a slight towards Tank Dell, but like his wide receiver 1 with Tank Dell for what, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks? Like, why are you starting him?
Tank Dell's been stinking at it.
Dalton Schultz.
I think we're a podcast that's fine taking shots at Tank Dell.
Yeah, can confirm. Stank Dell. I love Tank Dell, in all honesty, but he's been playing like shit this year, so I will totally poop on him. All right. What do we got next? Previews? We got previews. Oh, and players of the week. Lane had this Jared Goff stack with the Amon-Ra. They were both top of their position. Goff had 48.58, and Amon-Ra had 42.7. Kudos to you, Laner, for having the Jaguar killers in your team. Mantha had Joe Mixon, speaking of the devil, 40.3. Cade, Taysom Hill on your bench had 46.5. That was a top scorer at tight end easily. Greg had Chris Boswell at 24. And Brandon, I would say back-to-back defenses, but he had Houston on his bench, so 20.5 for Brandon. Not quite. Back-to-back with an asterisk. Let's get into the previews. All right, week 12, I have Lemons. I'm kind of concerned. Thankfully, Joe Burrow's on bye, but Mahomes has a pretty good matchup, actually, against Carolina, so this might be one of the few times that I'd advocate starting Mahomes this year. They should beat up on Carolina pretty badly, you would think. So, he's going to start Dontavian Wicks, who should be good for like less than 3 points, but you never know. Sometimes he just does his thing. Huge has been honestly pretty good, and Baltimore is very beatable. Eckler, meh. Zeke stinks. He's going to need to start a tight end, potentially George Kittle or Hawkinson. If he's trying to tank, he's starting Hawkinson, in my opinion. Kittle's been so good. Mostert been really bad. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a bad lineup, but there are a couple of good matchups in there, I guess. I'm going to have Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison's hot and cold. Wide receiver 2, I'm still trying to figure out. Rome, I don't know. He had a pretty good week last week. I think he had like 10 targets. My wide receiver, with Shakir on bye, Dobbs has just not been consistent enough. It'll be so hard to play him. He'd be the guy I'd potentially throw in there, though, because Juju, garbage. And then Xavier Legette probably would be the play if Thielen wasn't coming back. But Thielen's coming back this week. I don't know what that's going to do. One of those guys is probably going to get cut this week from me. I just don't know which one. Ferguson, concussed. TBD on whether he plays. If he plays, he'll be in. If he doesn't, then I'll have to find a tight end, I guess. And then I'll have my weekly crisis of Javonte or Audric Estime. So currently I'm rolling with Javonte. I have a theory that when the Broncos are actually going to win a game, like I hope they will against the Raiders, this would be Javonte season. Just run the clock out. But I don't know. Estime is kind of a big guy, though, so I don't really get it. Whatever. One of those guys is going to have a good week, and I don't know which one, so I'll probably switch it like 3 times. That will do it. Yeah, my team's projected for 91. I know I don't have a tight end in there, but you chalk in like, 8 points in there for projection. I'm going to be projected for sub 100, and that's probably not going to change. Rough week for me. I'm kind of scared. Not going to lie. It's not going to stop me from picking myself to win, but yeah, this could be a season killer for me. Lemons, you're going to be having a hard time trying to tank your way out of this one, buddy. Because I'm scared. Oh shit. All right, Jake. Do you have me?
Well, I'm rooting for Lemons.
Yeah.
And I get hard to pick somebody that's not even trying to win.
He's trying to lose, man.
Like, I might send him a PSA on Saturday that T. Hill is not in his lineup against Bryant, because usually he has Taysom Hill against you.
Yeah,
but
thankfully he doesn't have Taysom Hill on his roster. If Lemons decides that he wants to actually beat me this week, he totally could. Because George Kittle, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf in there, and I'm probably losing.
Yeah. I actually think if he does start those guys, that his team could beat you this week.
It absolutely could. Without Kamara on bye, Olave hurt and on bye, obviously. I mean, no Shakir, who's been pretty darn good past handful of weeks. Consistent, it's not like he's beating the world with 12 points, but still getting the job done for me. Yeah, without those guys, I'm going to need J.K. Dobbins, and Baltimore's not a team you can really run on that much. Chuba Hubbard with going up against the Chiefs, a really tough defense, and is it Jonathan Brooks is going to be back? Yeah, I don't like my team this week.
I'm going to will this into existence. I'm going to pick Lemons. I'm going to pick him to win, and I'm going to pick him to be in the podcast.
The only way you can truly will this into existence is by having Cade pick Lemons, because we all know our record on the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry, Jake. Lemons isn't winning.
Hey, let's go!
He's gonna do his best. He's doing his best to lose. There's no He might pick up like Cooper Rush just to not have to start Mahomes against a bad defense.
He honestly might. If Lemons truly wants to tank here, Mahomes probably wouldn't be the end all be all, but that wouldn't be a bad move. I would say picking up a tight end to start over Hawkinson and Kittle would be a great start as well because both those guys could have pretty good games. Hawkinson plays Chicago, which is a tough matchup, so maybe you can get away with that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's Hawkinson, so he can totally have a good week. I agree, though. Quarterback would be big if he pick up literally Mac Jones, right? Sack Jones. So, all right, we don't have to dwell on this matchup very long. This is going to be a true stinker. A stinker to end all stinkers. I'd be surprised if both of our teams bust 80. I'm not joking. Oh, man. All right, next up we got Brandon and Jake. Brandon's got to set his lineup. Oh, no, it looks like he has set his lineup. He's got Pacheco in there, who is projected for 0. But it sounds like he's going to be back. And if he's back, he's in, especially against Carolina. Tyler Bass is on bye. I imagine he's picking up a kicker because he does not have another one on his roster. There's a world where you could start James Conner over Pacheco just to see how he is with him back, because there's a world where the Chiefs go up big on Carolina in like the first quarter. It's like 21-0 or something, and then Pacheco coming off injury just kind of gets sat back down, and Kareem Hunt keeps going. There's a world where that exists. I don't know if I'd really worry about it, because if they're up 21-0, you're hoping that Pacheco has one. But I don't know. Something to think about, I guess. Because James Conner's been pretty darn good, if I remember correctly. Yeah, pretty darn good. And Seattle's definitely
as a Trey Benson owner, I can confirm that he's been really fucking good.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Hate to see it.
Everybody else on his team is definitely in. The only question marks you have are Sutton and Zay Flowers. But with Garrett Wilson and Bijan and Darnell Mooney on bye, the only person you'd really think about putting in there is Calvin Ridley. Watson's plays San Fran, pretty tough matchup. Judy plays Pittsburgh, really tough matchup. Yeah, I mean, Ridley's the only person you'd consider putting in there, and I agree with what he's got going on here. Raiders are a pretty bad team. I guess this is probably an illusion that they're 27th against wide receivers. I'm guessing it's just because teams can run on them, so they don't need to throw. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if Denver's going to absolutely blow those guys out of the water, but you never know. Jake, on your side of the ball, Jordan Love, Niners. Tough matchup, but doable matchup. We had a harder matchup this past week. So, and your options are Caleb Williams against Minnesota, which is probably a worse matchup and a worse quarterback. So I respect it.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb against Washington. Thankfully, he's playing Washington. That'll be a division game. Hopefully not a blowout, although you probably wouldn't mind if it's a blowout, because then CeeDee Lamb probably gets like 14 targets. Honestly, your worst nightmare is Dallas continues to lose and CeeDee Lamb like picks up a hamstring injury or something and they just sit him down.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was already thinking that once Dak was out, it was just going to be rough going anyway. Actually, so Diggs obviously got hurt earlier, which was absolutely brutal. And then with Dak getting hurt a couple weeks later,
yep,
the wide receivers absolutely just fell apart.
Well, Ferguson, if he doesn't play, CeeDee's definitely in, right? Assuming everything goes well there. Even if Fergie's in, obviously CeeDee's still in, but you're actually excited for CeeDee, in my opinion, if Fergie is out. Or maybe you're not. I don't know. Does that just hurt the offense to the point where CeeDee he's not scoring anyways, right?
He's going to get targets. I think he's just going to get targets. Okay. I don't think the Cowboys are going to actually bench him in the second half if they're losing.
No, they won't. Only if he gets hurt. Only if he gets hurt. Jane Reed in your lineup. Roll with it. Love the stack. Hopefully he gets some more work this week because he's so good.
It has been a while though, unfortunately.
Feels like
Jane
it.
Reed.
I know there's a bye week in between, so it makes it feel like it's been a really long time.
Maybe that's part of it. Part of the reason for sure.
But I mean, even before that game against Detroit, it was rough sledding for a couple weeks. Yeah. I don't know. Montgomery, obviously he's in. Rico Dowdle, pretty good matchup against Washington. He's probably in. Mark Andrews, tough decision. Him or Isaiah Likely, Jake.
Yeah, I have a couple decisions. I mean, I don't think that's going to be a decision. I think it's going to be Andrews. But flex, first of all, the flex is going to change.
Flex.
If I start Tillman, he's not going to be in the flex on a Thursday game. Because
Well, especially against Pittsburgh. That's a pretty horrible matchup.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to move Jameson
with supposedly projected rain.
If I decide to start Tillman, he'll be in the actual wide receiver position.
So you're thinking Jamo's going to end up in there? You're telling me to take the under on him this week?
Oh, man.
No consideration for Najee? Obviously not in the flex, but in that spot?
It's not a bad point. He's been consistent. It's just
he's been consistently solid too.
Going against Brandon's team, I was thinking Tillman or
upside.
That's Tillman or Jameson,
respectable.
Upside.
That's very respectable. Brandon Aubrey, Chiefs defense against Carolina, nice. Chiefs defense against Carolina, it's very nice.
Yeah,
that's big.
Aubrey feels good against Washington too.
Yeah, that too. I don't know if Aubrey really feels good ever though with no quarterback, but yeah, I see what you mean. It could be worse.
Yeah.
All right, I got Brandon in this one. Jake, you have yourself, I presume.
Yep.
Cade?
I got Brandon, but I feel like if there's any week for Jake to win against Brandon, it is this week.
Yeah, no Bijan.
So
I agree.
I don't think it's an easy win for Brandon this week, but I do pick Brandon.
I agree with that. Although I will say Brandon's projected to win by 1, and he has 2 guys projected for 0 in his lineup right now. I love that. Love that.
I actually want to play Garrett Wilson though.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of thinking that too. I think the only person on Brandon's team that's on bye that he'd really want to play is Bijan. Well, Mooney has been
it's a big
solid,
one,
but yeah, it's a huge one because Bijan's been awesome. But I mean, Achane and Pacheco are totally fine running backs to play there, and James Conner in the bench, like shit. I don't know. If it's me, I might play James Conner over Pacheco, but Pacheco plays Carolina, so I get it.
I honestly think he might talk himself into Watson here somewhere.
If it's me, I'd probably play Pacheco and Conner and bench one of Sutton and Flowers. Because Flowers has been just okay ever since Deontay came to town. I don't know. Something to think about. It probably doesn't matter. He's probably going to kill your team. Sorry, Jake.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Preston and Nick.
No
lineups have been set in this matchup yet, so we're going to have to piece this together a little bit. CJ Stroud will probably start for Manti, especially because he has a reason to with Stafford playing Philly this week. It's actually a tough matchup, but see how it goes. He's going to have to play a wide receiver and Devontae Adams on bye, so it's going to be Waddle, Jacoby Myers, Ladd McConkey. I would play Jacoby probably, but you could make an argument for McConkey. I don't think I'd play Waddle. Waddle's been pretty bad. Yeah, I would play Jacoby, personally. Puka, Joe Mixon, JT obviously are all in. Kyle Pitt's going to have to find a replacement there. He's got Sam Laporte on the bench, who you don't feel too bad about slotting in, hoping for a touchdown there. Josh Jacobs is in. Yeah, and then he needs a defense. So I guess I'll have to hit the waiver wire for that. Not too bad of a lineup there, though. Quarterback is such a struggle, but it always is with Preston's team. In my opinion, it's the only reason Preston isn't like 6 and 7, 6 and 5, whatever it's supposed to be, 6 and 5. Nick's side of the ball, he's got Anthony Richardson in there now because Kyler was on bye last week. I imagine Kyler is going to slot back in, especially against Detroit. That's a tough matchup. Tough bye weeks for Nick. Wow. BTJ on bye, so he needs a wide receiver. Neighbors goes in, obviously. Chase Brown, bye week. Bucky Irving, maybe, probably, gotta be. Then Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are on bye. He'll have to cut Knox, pick up a tight end. Young Wei Koo, need a kicker there too. Not a bad roster either. Needs a couple pickups here and there, but I don't know. I like Kyler over Stroud. The rest of the lineups, I think I like Manti's team better. I think I'm gonna go Preston here.
I've been consistent with it all year. I'm gonna pick Preston here again.
Shit. Now Cade's gonna pick Nick, and he's gonna be right, and we're gonna be wrong, because that seems like it happens every week.
It's not fair to, like I said, Nick's season. I declared it over earlier, and it's crazy to play a 2-win team and see these big name guys.
It's just
on Preston's
so
team.
tough to have this week be the week you have all these buys. Because if BTJ, honestly, if Brown, all it is Brown. If Brown is active, I probably pick Nick. But I don't know. Bucky Irving has been pretty good, but I don't know, man. Just it hits different. He's lost so much depth, and it's not like his bench is that good. Malik Neighbors is obviously in, but Malik Neighbors really hasn't been quite that good ever since they sat down Daniel Jones. He's been fine, right? Like it's okay. Or I don't know. Was this even this was a Daniel Jones week, wasn't it? Have they played
No, I
again
thought
without him?
didn't they just say that it's DeVito's season now?
They
Or was
might
it
have.
just yesterday.
That might have just been yesterday. Okay, so I guess Daniel Jones.
I can
just stinks.
picture the graphic, and I don't know what day that was, but
Yeah.
I feel like it would make more sense for it to be Monday than it to be Saturday.
I know DeVito's back for sure, or starting for sure, right this week.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Cade. Who are you thinking here?
I got Preston too. And I think
Oh
Nick should
baby,
win.
unanimous picks are usually correct on this show.
What about me over Greg last week?
Yeah, good point.
That was the first one I could think of. I had to do it.
All right. We got Cade and George this week. This will be a great matchup. No Josh Allen is really tough, but Russell Wilson's been playing well. I don't know how he's been for fantasy. Cleveland's a pretty
2
tough
points
matchup.
last week.
Ew. Do you guys see that play last week where Pittsburgh really needed a first down and they put Justin Fields in on like his first play of the game? It's a designed run.
Yeah.
And he like slides after what should have been a really easy first down, but he started to slide like 2 yards too early, and they marked him short. It was really funny. I was like,
Yeah, he was lucky that was like second down or whatever it was. But
because he stands up right away and he like points his like first down. He did the point, and then he looked over at the ref who was spotting him like a yard short, and he's like puts his hands on his head. He's like, "No!" I'm like, "Yeah, you're a freaking idiot." That was funny. It's like you're in for one play. You're basically a running back. Just you don't even have to take the hit. Just fall forwards, man. I know it was Kyle Hamilton in front of him, so I get it, but still.
Yeah, I was about to say it's funny because he's being coached not to, or like not slide.
He's been watching Tua's film, man. He's like, all right, I gotta not do that. Yeah. Russell Wilson will be kind of a tough start. I don't know what there really is for options in the waiver wire though. It is Thursday game. Not really what you want to see. I don't know who's out there. I mean, Geno, Bo Nix. Bo Nix against the Raiders probably is actually a pretty good start.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Jameis.
He's trying to make that offensive rookie of the year push.
Hey, Jameis had 30 points last week. So
yeah, I missed
Jake's guy, Jameis. Guess which week Jake started him? Boom. 5.1, baby. Yep. Sandwich between two 30s.
I was all in on the Browns that week.
Somebody up.
What's that?
I said I will tell you I'm picking somebody up. I won't say who.
Yeah. I mean, Geno's out there. He's been okay this year. Arizona's not a bad matchup, so he has potential. Sam Darnold's got a bad matchup. Wouldn't play him. The Mayo man, Drake May, Gardner Minshew. A lot of tough options there. Cooper Rush, 16 points last week. Yeah, it's one of these top 3 guys you'd imagine. All right, so assume one of those guys in there going up against Lamar. I mean, obviously you take Lamar. Chargers a good defense though, so there's a world where Lamar has a bad week. AJ Brown, Nico Collins, call that a wash. If Nico Collins bounces back, then he probably should outscore AJ Brown, but I don't know. AJ Brown's a good wide receiver too, so McLaurin and Jefferson could be a wash in all honesty against the Bears. Tough matchup. Saquon, always, no matter who he's up against, unless it's maybe Bijan. Kenneth Walker, easy. I'll take McBride. I'll take Mike Evans, but that's closer than you'd think just because Juwan Jennings has been playing so well, and he's against Green Bay, so what has to happen? Well, if Jair plays, it'll probably be a bad week for him because it seems like Jair is good when he's on the field lately, but he's just never on the field. Kind of changes the defense, at least in my opinion. Fairbairn always. Green Bay defense. Green Bay and San Fran defense. That's funny. I don't really want to play either of those defenses. One or both of them could be good, but if there are other options, I'd probably try to go that way. Like not the Chargers against Buffalo though. Sorry, George, you're SOL. This is a tough one for me. These are both good teams. You know, a couple pieces missing here and there, a couple bad matchups here and there. Taysom Hill's on bye, so Tucker Kraft, is he in the lineup this week, Cade? I
Has
have to be, yeah.
I like Kraft this week. I actually really like Kraft this week.
All right.
I thought he was going to be good against the Bears, but first of all, he's playing against Kittle, and he's like the new Kittle in my book.
Yeah,
Big Kraft guy. So
you figure out that
him this week.
quarterback situation. You could have a pretty good week on your hands here. George, Ramondre is kind of a sore thumb with Breece Hall on bye. He's not going to have another option. He's playing Ramondre no matter what. Miami's not the best matchup in the world. Dare I say they're downright stingy. Yeah. Kyron against Philly. I know you can't throw on Philly. It looks like you can't run on Philly either. Yeah, he's got tough matchups. I'm going to take Cade here, I think. It's close, though. I see a world where...
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Taking Cade here.
Ooh, clean sweep.
It's all going to be up to Lamar. It's all going to be.
It really is.
If Lamar goes off for 30, then George is going to win. If I just want the Chargers to hold him to his projection. If they hold him to 22, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, I
feel like I'm going to have a decent lead going into Monday. I really do.
Personally, I think I put a lot on Justin Jefferson on this one too, because if he has a Justin Jefferson game, that's gonna be really tough. But against the Bears, he could absolutely have like sub 10, like he did against the Jags. Not that the Jags are good defense, but for whatever reason, he stunk against those guys.
I do like my chances to have at least one of Evans, Nico, or Terry match Justin Jefferson, though.
Oh yeah, I think all three of those guys could beat him if you get lucky.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like the matchup.
Yeah, Georgia's got harder matchups than you do this week, but Josh Allen on bye hurts.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% scared of Georgia's team, but if there's a week to play him, I'm glad it's this week with who he has on bye and who his guys are playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree.
I'm rooting for Green Bay defense against San Francisco, obviously, but I'm scared there as well.
Let's go. I'm scared. That's kind of sketchy. Both ways, it's sketchy.
In my head, I already see Quay Walker chasing down McCaffrey 50 times in that game.
Also,
trying his best.
Do we know if Kittle's playing this week? I know he missed last week, didn't he? Yeah, I think he missed last week.
We know yet.
Okay, so TBD.
I actually don't know.
Debo's been stinky, but he'll play. Ayuk is out. Obviously, McCaffrey's back. On Jennings is playing. Yeah, I mean it's relatively healthy for the weapons at least. Green Bay is pretty healthy. Yeah, if I had to pick a defense to play, my dad would be telling me to go with the home team, but I think I'd probably go San Fran. I don't know. It feels like Jordan Love is probably more likely to throw a pick than Brock Purdy is. Yeah. I don't know. That'll be a tough game. All right. What's next? Greg Lane, last game. First place, fourth place. This is another big one. If winner, hey, the 2-8-3 matchups. That's kind of big. Could really shape the bye weeks. We got Jared Goff and Amon-Ra Stack always going against the Colts this week. Not too bad. Not too bad. The way around, we got Josh Downs going against the Lions. Kind of tough, but he's been pretty solid. So, dare I say he's been downright good. Even in tough matchups. Derrick Henry's always in. James Cook on bye. Evan Ingram on bye. Evan Ingram on bye is probably a gift. James Cook on bye is tough. Really tough. Holy man. He's going to... You just have to spot start Jonathan Brooks. I mean, it's against the Chiefs, and it's his first week. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do here. Gibson's horrible. McLaughlin's bad. You might have to spot start Brooks because I don't really think there's that much going on the waiver wire. Was this week 12? Oh, whoops. All available players. Jerome Ford, Tajay Spears. Charbonnet, Justice Hill. I think I'd maybe try to pick Justice Hill up and hope you get a 13-point week out of him. That might be my Hail Mary there.
Keaton Mitchell's back too, I think, or maybe he was back. I don't know.
Who
There's
cares?
A lot of running backs there.
Sorry, Jake. O'Shawn, probably not. Devin Singletary, maybe. Gus Edwards, maybe. Oh. Cam Akers? Could maybe throw Cam Akers in there with Aaron Jones kind of banged up. It's against the Bears, though. It's a pretty tough team to run on. Apparently not for fantasy, but I feel like the Bears are a pretty tough team to run on. Yeah, for me, it's probably Cam Akers or Justice Hill, and you cross your fingers. Either that, or you just roll with Jonathan Brooks and hope that he's, for whatever reason, is a starter, even though they signed Chuba to like a 3-year, $30 million extension or something crazy like that. Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. Evan Ingram's out. Njoku's in. Smith, I don't know. Maybe in, maybe out. I'd think about playing Hopkins. Or
Smith,
Debo.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, one of those two guys potentially over Smith. I mean, you can play Smith. All those guys are kind of in the same tier for me. Hopkins is a good matchup, though. I know he's been pretty bad the past couple weeks. Juju's back, so it's kind of tough, but who knows? For me, he has the highest upside out of that group. I mean, well, maybe that's Debo, but Debo hasn't really done it. He's been so bad lately. I don't know. Tough. Very tough. McPherson's on bye, which is probably a gift because he's been kind of stinky. Tennessee against Houston, probably not the defense you want since Tennessee's defense is pretty trash. I don't know why he's been playing Tennessee's defense. Were you really playing against Minnesota? Or anybody? I mean, maybe the Patriots, right? Yeah. Lane's got to get a new defense. Greg, Tua, Tank Dell, Michael Pittman, Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a good player. Wow, took a while. DeAndre Swift. Brock Bowers, this is another one. Oh, pick up Cam Akers playing against Aaron Jones. Oh, Greg's team kind of stinks this week, too. He must have a ton of Oh, Jamar Chase and Drake London. Ew. Wow. This is bad. Do you play Baker against the Giants over Tua? I don't know. Tua had a pretty good week this last week.
I start Baker.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is back.
Baker's been so good. Yeah, it's only because Mike Evans is back. If Mike Evans wasn't back, I'd probably keep him on the bench. But the Giants you can totally throw on. And I mean, take away that San Fran game with no weapons. Baker's been a monster all year long. I think I'd play Baker, but I don't blame a guy for playing Tua. He's coming off a big week. I get it. But yeah, I think I agree with you, Cade. I'm playing Baker. None of those wide receivers can play. Yeah, that's oof. Greg's team kind of stinks, you know.
I know that Lane's got an issue at that second running back spot, and I think because of who Greg has to play at wide receiver this week, I think I might be taking Lane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly that second running back spot might not really matter.
And Lane's going to be forced to play Njoku this week. Which is good, yes. Yeah, I mean, which is huge because Brock Bowers is going to have 30 points again. So, I don't know. Denver's defense is good, so you never know. But Brock Bowers is a monster. You know what's funny is... I got Lane, though. I got Lane for sure.
I respect that. Greg told me when I saw Greg this past week, and he told me that he's ready for me to shit on his team again because apparently I always say that his team is bad in the rewind. I never noticed that. I guess I just really hate Greg's team. And I caught myself saying it again. I mean, I'm only saying it this time because Chase and London are out, so it's actually bad this time.
Yeah, it is bad this week.
Oh, I caught myself saying that again. I'm like, oh, there it is. Greg's gonna be pissed. Maybe he likes it because he keeps winning.
I'll tell you what, though. If Lane beats Greg this week and I beat George, I'm in first. So go Lane.
That's true. Well, you only have Lane by a couple points. If Lane beats Greg harder than you beat George, I'd take you over Lane, though.
Lane's going to put up a lot of points this week, though.
I'd take you over Lane.
This is going to be like a 110 to 100 week.
He needs another Lions legacy week.
Yeah, which he might get. If that happens, then he probably goes to first if we both win.
Yeah, that'd be tough. Yeah, so you have Lane. Jake, who do you have here?
Well, I wanted to say Greg because he just put up 170 points on me last week, but I'm going to go Lane.
Oh, man. Oh, crap. Greg's me so... I mean, maybe this will make Greg happy. I'm going to take Lane, too. every time I shit on Greg's team, he wins. You're welcome, Greg. Congrats on the win.
Back-to-back weeks, unanimous against Greg.
Yeah,
He loves it.
Not a great strategy for the guys in first place in the league.
Sorry, Greg.
He does love it.
I'm very scared of Greg too, but just not this.
Greg's team is really, really good when London and Chase are in. The London trade, I think, was fantastic for him. Because having those two guys, Pittman, I can't really trust. He's been not great. And Tank Dell, you also can't really trust. So having those two spots filled, Gibbs has been awesome. DeAndre Swift has been surprisingly pretty good. I don't know. He's got a pretty tough playoff schedule. So we'll see how that goes. But he can catch a football, so you never know. Aaron Jones has been pretty disappointing lately. I don't know. I guess it's been 1 week. He's banged up, which makes it tough because Chicago, I don't know. Not great. But
there's something wrong with Aaron Jones when he gets 15 touches but doesn't get 40 yards.
yeah, it's actually true. That's true. And you know what? Maybe part of that
He's
is
way
the
too good
Minnesota
of a
Vikings.
running back for those numbers.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. But
yeah. All right. That's for all the matchups. We got one more thing to do tonight. We have one more thing. Skip over that. All right, Jake. You have your button ready?
I do.
You're a stud. All right, Preston. Starting CJ Stroud all year long is like imagining you doing it with someone. It's just wrong, man.
Boom. Roasted.
There you go. Nick. I think I finally figured out your team name. 3 times champ means that you were a champ 3 times this year. Nice work predicting your 3 wins, dude. Congrats.
Boom. Roasted.
The biggest thing to remember is
He's not dead yet. I refute this. I'll back you on that, Nick. You're not dead yet. If I don't make it, I hope you do.
I pressed the button.
It'd be honestly.
I pressed the button.
I know you did. Oh, I see. For the people, yeah.
Yep.
In all honesty, out of the 3 of our teams, me, you, and Nick, Nick's is probably the scariest if he makes playoff because he has McCaffrey and Neighbors. The playoff teams are probably praying for Nick to not make it. Yeah. Realistically, they want me, then you, then Nick. Because my team stinks too. I don't know. I'd probably take your team over mine, Jake, but it's probably pretty close.
I would too, but you're dead, Brian. So please.
I am dead. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'll take care of this one, Jake. I'll take care of this one.
the biggest thing to remember is we're dead.
There we go. All right. Speaking of Jake, you're up next, buddy. Jake, every week that you bench JMO, I rejoice and immediately take his over. I appreciate the free money, loser.
Boom. Roasted.
I have concepts of a plan.
Yeah, you do. And lemons. Weekly, the weekly roast for lemons. Mike, I think we've gotten to the point where your opponent should probably be roasted if they don't beat you by at least 20 points. I honestly think that we may have missed your chance to get you on the show this year. Oops. I'm hoping that you get a win this week. Not really, though. Shit.
Boom.
2 weeks.
Roasted.
2 weeks. Asterisk. Oh, change the edit. I play him this week.
We're dead.
Yeah.
We've given him the word dead every week for the past 5 weeks.
Well, yeah, because his team has been dead for like a month and a half.
Yeah. That'll happen when you have Tyreek Hill this year.
Yeah. Unlucky draft, in all honesty. Can't win them all. All right. That does it for the show this week. Good luck to everybody except for Lemons, Brandon, and George. You guys all stink. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you next week.